George, cross court. Hill just tosses it up and it hits. That's the way it's going for George Hill.
23 games last year, 5 games 2 years ago. Spent last year in Denver and Philly. And what a move by George Hill.
By George.
Take that, H. And a steal. Here comes George Hill again.
He gets the foul. Bang it home.
Hometown hero.
Here's a swipe by George. Numbers for the Pacers. Alley-oop to George Hill. It is a dunk-a-thon here in the third.
Backdoor Hill for the jam.
Tobias Harris is in.
That's a budding to play. He bumped Harris. Oh,
George Hill throws it down.
He can get the ball after going out of bounds as long as he establishes himself in bounds, and that's exactly what he did.
C.J. Miles is in. They get an open three from
good.
George
Looks
Hill.
good.
It's perfect.
In 2 minutes and 3 seconds, and their run at that point, going back to the first, was 9-0.
Magic have hit 10 of 30 from behind the arc. And now
Oh,
George Hill.
Oh, that was cold.
That should put the capper
Oh,
on.
that was so cold.
A 21-point night win in his 4th 3. Pacers have scored the last 9, and here's George Hill for 3. When this is the end of the floor that people forget how good they are defensively is George Hill, the 3. He's fouled by Clark, and a chance for a 4-point play.
See, they'll trap this.
Out to Monte Ellis, extra pass. George Hill for 3.
You got to see, can you post it?
George Hill gets to the basket, flips it in off the glass. Sullinger spins in the lane. It's knocked away.
Well, great help by Paul George.
He's made a difference coming in. Here's George Hill, the Euro step, and scores. He looked good there. Oh,
yeah.
Here it is, a G2 zone highlight.
Yeah, got a little connection there.
Good anticipation by Contavious to step into that passing lane, intercept the Paul George pass.
George Hill spins inside.
Whoa.
Numbers not there for George Hill. Cutting is.
Oh my! Able to have a big impact there.
And that was a pass to Mahimi, and Mahimi missed it. Tipped in by George Hill.
Well, because Chris Middleton didn't know who he had for a moment.
He has shot it well of late. Pacers right now have made the Bucks defense look easy because they've not moved. Here's the teardrop by George Hill.
Yeah, they were expecting that out of that timeout.
Ellis to Hill, up and under, Pacers by 3. And the Pacers run, and George Hill throws it down. James and George.
It's going on.
And here is Hill down the
They
lane.
threw it away.
Oh, the steal, bad pass by Shumpert, and George Hill lays it in. George against Irving. Here's George Hill, open for 3.
Yes.
Because Monte Ellis had no chance at Brandon Wright.
We don't disagree on that part, partner.
Here's George Hill.
With all the losses and stuff in the offseason, and Terry Stotts and Rick Carlisle have been brilliant this year.
Portland could still get to 5 in the West. Here's George knifing through the defense, putting it in and drawing a foul. 25 points for Paul George.
Jeff Teague had 16 last night. He had 2 threes. Here's George Hill.
Set him a hard screen.
George Hill. Step back against Schroeder. George Hill on the baseline. 3 to
He's got to
shoot.
go to work. He's in trouble.
What a shot. George Hill for 3 and a Pacers lead. No, he's going to eat him up as long as he can. And it's going to be for the next 4 to 6 weeks. Hill, the basket, and a foul.
Good play. That's a really smart play by George Hill.
Through the lane to George Hill. George Hill, top of the key. Here's a 3.
No, I love it.
He knew it was down.
Well, they ran a really nice play.
Glenn Robinson to the corner for Hill. He got it.
Miami leading by 4. And Wade with his first field goal. Hill running after a make.
Chased by Caspi.
That's counts.
And here's a steal. George Hill back the other way against Larkin. And he lays it in. It's a 35-point lead. Pacers are feasting right now and just moving the ball as George Hill hits the three. He is doing everything he can to get 2 feet in the paint. Teardrop, George Hill.
And you can see the difference between the way George went at the rim.
Played only 55 games last year, missed a lot of it due to injury, and another great pass.
Well, timing got the score here.
George Hill, Hill dunks it.
Really need to get up and pressure, but there's spots where you want to lay back and not get back cutting things. So you got to make sure.
I love the Pacers defense. It's going to force Rambis to have to consider a timeout if he scores.
George Hill, the basket and a foul.
Because it's just a different presence by the Pacers.
George Hill, three-pointer.
Hill turns the corner this time and gets the layup.
See, they're out so far away from the basket, Mike. Even if you come off the screen, you have a long way to go to get down inside.
Nice move from Hill.
Was good size to defend him at 6'7". Inside and break down defensively. George Hill on the crunch.
He's got to take it.
4 to shoot. Hill to the baseline and got it.
Yeah, that was really a tough move too. But you got to give him credit. Just walk him down into the post.
Morris comes to help. Here's Hill for 3. Played his first 3.5 years in Oklahoma City. And up and under.
Oh,
bounces into Turner.
That was a tough play to make.
2 to shoot. George Hill.
Oh, yeah.
Big time shot by Hill.
George Hill to forecourt. Miles Turner's jumper.
But that was a nice show and go that time by Ilyasova. You love it when he's aggressive to start the game.
Pistons lead 6-4. George Hill. Well, George gives it back to Monte Ellis. Has to give it up to George Hill. Shot clock at 7. George Hill fires, fills it up. 14-5. Pistons so far here in the third. George Hill down the lane.
Usually the way they do, at that point, they'd like to figure out a way. Oh, another good cut. That one by George Hill. Let it go. Because if you miss a few of them, you're going to stop that because you can't get them to go in the basket.
And that's a dunk and no foul. He got pushed.
George Hill, left door. Simmons couldn't block it. 6 on the shot clock to George Hill. The 3 for George.
Giving up, and meanwhile during this winning streak they've won 6 in a row and 9 of 10, 12 of 14. They've been outscoring opponents. That's an and 1.
They swing it around to a wide open George, and he hits. Ellis off the screen, shovel to the rookie. No, back out. George Hill. Bang. Set you up for that. Here's C.J. Miles. Answered it perfectly. Hill from the outside. He rattles it home.
Well, Indiana, they're good defensively, protecting the rim. That's a beautiful move by George Hill.
No team fouls against the Pacers. 4 against Brooklyn. Hill. Oh! That's a man's jam for Lavoy Allen.
Whipped into the corner for Hill. He got it on a 3.
Cutting, setting screens until they're able to break the D down.
And now the Nets turn it over, and George Hill cashes in.
Terrence Ross has 5.
George got to watch that. He got away with it in the post. You get a little wider open. Good read on the back cut.
And a terrific shot by George Hill.
And has been getting quite a bit of playing time in recent weeks. Here's Hill on the drive.
9 points in the 4th quarter of their last game. So a carryover, and back is Mahimi. Gets the crowd going with that thrown out. Indiana by 1. 4 minutes gone by here in the 3rd quarter. Hill over Patterson. Hits a
10 free throw attempts for the Raptors, just 4 for Indiana. Hill splits defenders and gets the bucket. 9 assists for Indiana, 19 for Toronto. George Hill, yes, a 3.